Have you ever looked at your life and thought, how did I get here? Maybe you spent years being the dependable one, the parent, the partner, the caregiver, the employee, and somewhere along the way, you stopped asking what you wanted. The good news? You don't need a dramatic life makeover to find yourself again. In this video, I'm sharing how a simple writing practice can help you reconnect with the person you've always been underneath, all the roles and responsibilities. And by the end, you'll have a gentle way to start hearing your own voice again. Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Melanie Steele, and this channel is for women who are writing their next chapter, whether that's a book, a dream, or a whole new life. If that sounds like you, I would love for you to subscribe. Today's video is one that feels especially close to my heart because we are talking about something that so many women experience but don't always talk about openly. The feeling of losing yourself, not in a dramatic way, not in a movie montage kind of way, but slowly, over years. One day, you're full of ideas and dreams and plans. You know exactly what excites you. You know what you're curious about. You have hobbies and interests and opinions that feel uniquely yours. And then life happens. Careers happen. Relationships happen. Children happen. Responsibilities happen. Days become weeks, become years, and before you know it, so much of your time is spent responding to what everyone else needs, and you stop asking what you need. You become the person who remembers everyone's birthdays, the person who keeps everything running, the person everyone can depend on. And while there's something beautiful about caring for the people we love, it can sometimes come at a cost, because somewhere along the way, many of us stop being in a relationship with ourselves. We know what everyone else wants, but we don't know what we want. We know what everyone else needs, but we're no longer sure what we need. And if you've ever found yourself wondering, who am I now? Or what happened to the woman I used to be? I want you to know that you're not alone. I've had seasons where I felt that way too. And over the years, I've discovered something surprising. Writing isn't just a way to tell stories. It is a way to find your way back to yourself. It's a conversation with the part of you that's been waiting patiently to be heard. So, in today's video, I want to share how writing can help you reconnect with yourself, why it works so well, and some simple practices that you can start using today. Because finding yourself again doesn't have to begin with a huge life change. Sometimes it begins with a blank page. One of the most common things I hear from women, especially women in midlife, is this: I don't even know who I am anymore. Or sometimes it's, I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want. I don't know what comes next. And I think those feelings can be incredibly unsettling because they seem to come out of nowhere. From the outside, everything might look perfectly fine. You've built a good life. You may have people that you love. You may have achieved goals that once dreamed of. And yet, there's still this quiet feeling that something is missing. I think part of the reason that this happens is that women are often taught to be caretakers. We're taught to be helpful, to be accommodating, to put other people first, to be responsible, to keep going. And over time, those roles can become so familiar, they start to feel like our identity. We become someone's mother, someone's partner, someone's daughter, someone's employee, someone's friend. And those roles matter, they are important, but they're not the whole story. The problem is that when we are constantly focused on caring for other people, we stop paying attention to ourselves. We stop noticing what lights us up. We stop noticing what we are curious about. We stop making space for our own dreams because there always seems to be something more urgent, something more demanding of our attention. The result is that we can spend years becoming exactly who everyone else needs us to be. And then one day we wake up and realize that we've drifted away from ourselves. I don't think this means that we've completely lost who we are. I don't think our true selves disappear. I think they're still there. They're just buried underneath expectations, obligations, routines, and years of putting ourselves at the bottom of the list. The woman that you were at 20, the woman you wanted to become, the dreams you once had, the things that made you feel alive, none of that's gone. It may simply need rediscovering. And that's why I love writing so much, because writing creates a rare opportunity to hear your own voice without interruption. No expectations, no audience, no need to perform. Just you and your thoughts on a page. And sometimes that's exactly where the journey back to yourself begins. So, why writing? Why not meditation or talking to a friend or taking a long walk? The truth is, all those things can be incredibly helpful. But writing offers something unique. Writing slows your thoughts down enough for you to actually see them. Most of us spend our days reacting. We're answering messages, we're solving problems, ticking things off a to-do list, and moving from one responsibility to the next. Our thoughts are constantly moving in the background, but we rarely stop long enough to examine them. It's a little bit like standing in the middle of a snowstorm. Everything is swirling around so quickly that it's hard to make sense of what you're looking at. Writing allows the snow to settle. It helps you see what's really there. One of the reasons I think writing is so powerful is that it bypasses the stories that we tell ourselves. When someone asks us how we are doing, we answer on autopilot, right? I'm fine. Oh, I'm just busy. Everything's good. And sometimes we genuinely believe those answers. But when you sit alone with a notebook and begin writing honestly, something interesting happens. You start uncovering thoughts that were hidden beneath the surface. You realize you are more tired than you thought, or lonelier, or more hopeful, or more ambitious than you let yourself believe, or more creative. You discover feelings that you have been carrying around without fully acknowledging. And that awareness is powerful because you can't change what you haven't noticed. Writing also gives us evidence. Our memories can be unreliable. We forget what we used to dream about. We forget how much we've grown. We forget the promises that we've made to ourselves. But when you keep a journal, you create a record of your inner life. You can look back in 6 months or a year and see patterns. You can see what keeps showing up on the page. The things you complain about, the things you long for, the ideas that refuse to leave you. And often those recurring themes are clues. They are pointing toward something important, something that your heart has been trying to tell you for a long time. I also think writing is powerful because it creates a space where you are allowed to be completely honest. No one has to read it. No one has to approve of it. You don't need to sound wise or positive or grateful. You can be messy. You can be confused. You can admit that you're angry, disappointed, restless, scared, excited, or uncertain. You can tell the truth. And sometimes the truth is the very thing we have been avoiding. Sometimes the truth is, I want something different. Sometimes it's, I'm ready for a new chapter. Sometimes it's, I miss being creative, or I've spent so long looking after everyone else, I don't know how to look after myself. These realizations can feel uncomfortable at first, but they're also incredibly valuable because clarity almost always comes before change. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't need a detailed 5-year plan. You simply need the courage to become curious about yourself again. And that's what writing helps us do. It turns self-discovery into a conversation. So instead of asking, what's wrong with me? You begin asking, what's true for me? Instead of asking, why am I stuck? You begin asking, what do I need? And instead of asking, who should I be? You begin asking, who am I becoming? Those are very different questions. And over time, the answers start appearing on the page. Not all at once, not in some magical moment of revelation, but slowly. One journal entry, one insight, one honest sentence at a time. That's why I believe writing isn't just a creative practice. It's a self-discovery practice. It's a way of finding your voice again. And when you find your voice, you begin finding yourself. If you're not sure where to start, try this question. What do I miss? That's it. What do I miss? Maybe you miss creativity. Maybe you miss adventure. Maybe you miss having time to read. Maybe you miss feeling excited about the future. Set a timer for 10 minutes and write without stopping or censoring. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about making sense. Just keep your pen moving. A lot of what we are talking about today actually inspired my book, Cozy Creativity. The whole book is built around the idea that creativity isn't something we do once we found ourselves. It is often the way that we find ourselves in the first place. If you would like to explore this topic more deeply after the video, I'll leave details down below. So here are a few more journal prompts that might help. What did I love before I became responsible for everyone else? What would I do if nobody judged me? When do I feel most alive? What kind of life am I secretly craving? Who am I becoming now? The goal isn't to have perfect answers. It's simply to start asking the questions. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about finding yourself is that people imagine it happens in a single moment. They imagine a dramatic breakthrough, a life-changing revelation, a day when suddenly everything becomes clear. But that wasn't my experience. For me, it happened much more quietly. It happened through paying attention, through noticing, through writing things down, and through being willing to listen to what kept appearing on the page. Over the years, writing has become so much more than a creative practice for me. It's become a way of checking in with myself, a way of asking, how am I really doing? Because sometimes we can just move through life on autopilot for a surprisingly long time. We're busy, we're productive, we're getting things done, but we're not necessarily connected to ourselves. Writing interrupts that autopilot. It creates a pause. And in that pause, we have the opportunity to hear things we might otherwise miss. I've noticed that some of the most important decisions that I've made started as a very small feeling that appeared in the journal. Not a fully formed plan, not a grand vision, just a sentence, a thought that kept returning, a dream that wouldn't leave me alone, quiet desire for something more. At first, those thoughts often seem insignificant. It's very easy to dismiss them, to tell yourself they're unrealistic or impractical. But when the same thought keeps appearing on the page month after month, it becomes harder to ignore. And that is one of the gifts of writing. It reveals patterns. It shows you what matters enough to keep coming back. For example, there have been times in my life when I've written about wanting more creativity or more space or more time to focus on the things that felt meaningful to me. And when I look back through my journals, I realized that those weren't random thoughts. They were clues. They were pointing me toward a life that felt more aligned with who I really was. I think many of us are waiting for certainty before we take action. We want to know exactly what the next chapter looks like. We want guarantees, we want a map. But writing has taught me that clarity often comes from movement, not before it. You write, you reflect, you notice, you take a small step, and then you discover the next piece. Another thing writing helped me realize is that the answers we are searching for are often already inside us, really. Not all of them, of course. Life is complicated, but many of the things we think that we need someone else to tell us are actually things we already know deep down. We just haven't made enough space to hear them. When we sit with a notebook and write honestly, we often surprise ourselves. We discover that we do have opinions, we do have dreams, we do have desires. We've just been talking over them for a very long time. And perhaps that's what finding yourself really means. Not becoming someone new, not reinventing yourself from scratch, but returning to the parts of yourself that have been waiting patiently for your attention. The curious part, the creative part, the hopeful part, the woman who still has dreams for her life, the woman who still wants to learn and grow and create, the woman who may have been quiet for a while but never truly disappeared. Writing helped me reconnect with that version of myself. Not overnight, not perfectly, but consistently, one page at a time. And that's why I continue to return to it even now, because every time that I sit down to write, I'm not just creating words, I'm creating space to listen. And sometimes the most powerful thing that we can do is to listen to ourselves long enough to remember who we are. So if you've been feeling disconnected from yourself lately, I want you to know that you don't have to figure everything out today. You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need all the answers. You just need a blank page and the willingness to be honest. Because sometimes finding yourself isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've been all along. I would love to know in the comments, what's one thing that you've rediscovered about yourself through writing, journaling, or creativity? And if you'd like more videos about writing, creativity, cozy living, and creating a meaningful second act, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and join our cozy corner of the internet. Until next time, take care and happy writing. Bye.